Hi, this is Liz Soria with Express Tax and Bookkeeping Services. This is a continuation of the QuickBooks tutorial. In this training, we're going to be learning how to properly record accounts payable and receivables. So let's get started. If we have a bill, we're going to go ahead and go to the home page, and where my cursor is highlighted, it says Enter Bill. In this case, we're going to select the vendor that we're paying. And we're going to have the cell telephone. We always can highlight the date and change it. Keep a note that in reference number, you can always put the invoice number or you can put your account number. In this case, the amount of the bill, it's going to be $125. We're going to tab. It's due on receipt, or depending on the net terms that you have with that vendor, you can always select. In the memo field, we can go ahead and put here that this is actually going to be for the phone and for the fax line. And automatically, we're going to have selected utilities on the telephone. And that's because previously, since we have recorded other bills from the same vendor, it's going to automatically, QuickBooks is going to give you that selection. If it wouldn't, you will go ahead and select from this general ledger account. In the memo field, we can also copy and paste what we put here in the memo. That way we don't have to retype it. I'm very picky about putting a lot of memos. I believe that they're very helpful, especially when you're searching information. We're going to save and close. And then we're ready for the next step, which is actually paying the bill. Okay, so we're going to select Pay Bills. And as you can see all the way, in the section in the top, it says here, we can highlight. And we have the call telephone expense for $125. In the bottom, we can always highlight the date that you actually paid. Please keep track of that. We always want to record the accounts payable date. Okay, it's not the invoice, it's the actual payment. And also over the method that you paying this vendor, we can use whether it's going to be a check or whether it's going to be a credit card, or perhaps it's going to be online bill payment. Okay, in this case, for these purposes, we are actually using check. We have selected under account the checking account that we're using. That's where the funds are actually coming out to pay for the vendor. In this case, if you had a different account, whether you were paying out of the savings account, then we will go ahead and select that. In this case, we're going to select checking. We're going to say that's okay. We're going to do not display, and we're going to say pay and select bill. Now, before I do that, let me go back and show you on the screen that in case you had multiple, let's say that maybe one day out of the week is when you actually take care of all your bills. In that case, what we can do is we can also select multiple vendors, as I'm doing, and we can go ahead and pay and select bills. So in this case, that will save you a little time. But since we're going to be doing one vendor, let's go ahead and uncheck this. And we're just going to pick the one that we already have and pay select bill. Now, QuickBooks is telling me in the box whether I want to go ahead and pay more bills, or do I want to print the check, or whether I'm done. Now, if you're actually doing a manual check and you're writing the check, then you go ahead and click done. If you're not, then you can print the check, and it will actually tell you how many checks you want to pay based on the vendors that you have on your list. We're going to cancel that. We're going to go back to the checking register. And now what you're going to notice is right at the bottom where I have highlighted is actually the bill has been recorded, and it's also been recorded under accounts payable, the way we wanted it. We're going to go ahead and close this screen, and now we're going to go for our customers. We're going to create an invoice. In this case, one of our customers has actually requested an invoice from us with the detailed information about what type of services we included. And what we're going to choose here is Carol. Okay. And Carol, right now, we're going to do a quantity. We can skip, especially if you're not doing inventory or if you're not selling certain supply. But if it's just a service, we can skip that section. And the item code. In this case, what we've done for her is that we actually done some gardening services. And we're going to go ahead and highlight over here on the where it says price each. And we're going to put the amount there that we actually charge. We're charging the customer for the services that we're providing. I'm going to highlight, And right over here where it says customer message, it's always nice to be grateful to our customers. So I'm going to say thank you for your business. And we can go ahead in here and always also type the invoice number. And when you get the invoice number, just in case, it's going to be right here in the upper right side corner. Okay, right there, 144. A lot of things you can do within this screen. Let's say that the customer has requested for you to send this via email. We're going to go up here where it says send. We're going to select the drop box, and we can go ahead and do an email invoice. It's going to do a spell check for us, which is great. In this case, we're going to close it. Okay, and the reason why we having a problem right now is because I have not set up my email. But in another scenario, you should be able to just go ahead and create an actual email and attach the invoice to it. If we don't get that option, then we can always mail the invoice. We can print it and then mail it. Or we can also do send batch. So if you have multiple invoices that you want to send or you want to print, that will be another option that you might want to go ahead and select. A lot of the things that you can do within the actual screen of invoicing is that you can have the history of the customer, which is fantastic. You have the right side column. It tells you the most recent transactions, not only the invoice, but also the times and the dates that they have actually paid you, and what other unbilled expenses you might have at this point. Okay, so right now we're going to go ahead and we can save and close. And now the third step that's so, second step is so crucial is that once you create that invoice, then now you need to receive payment. Now we're going to go ahead and select here. And this was our customer. We're going to select there. And as you can see, automatically we get the very first line showing there's an open invoice. And that open invoice, she's actually paying us in full, so we're going to put amount $325. And in this case, she's paying us with a check. We can put her check number. And then in the memo, we can always type in the invoice number, 144. And this is really nice because actually that shows up in the check register, and you're going to see that once we get there. And we have selected automatically. QuickBooks did that for us for the only invoice. If you had multiple invoices, then you will need to go ahead and select that on your own. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do save and close. In the third step and final one, that unfortunately a lot of people make this mistake constantly. It's because, again, they really don't understand how QuickBooks really works, is that there's a step where we create the invoice, which we did, we receive the payment, and then we have to record the deposit. That's right, because if we don't record it, it's not going to show in the register. And then it's going to be like an outstanding invoice that you have inside your accounts receivable. And if you actually check right in the bottom, we actually have Carol. Her invoice shows there that we have received the payment along with the invoice, and we can go ahead and say that's okay. We're making that deposit, and we're going to go and do save and close. Okay. Now, if we go back to the register and we double click here, you're actually going to notice that our customer shows on the register on the right side where the column shows deposits. Okay, so a lot of times what QuickBooks doesn't do is it does not keep track in the register the name of the customer. It takes a few more seconds. It's well worth it. We can go ahead and select the customer again, and we can actually put their name there, and that way we have it also in the register to match with the invoice. And that's how simple it was. This is how exactly you enter an accounts payable. This is how you enter an accounts receivable. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Hopefully you have learned something out of it. And if you need any assistance, by all means, please contact our company. And we're here to help, especially to small business owners, where a lot of times they just need some extra support or training, even in QuickBooks. We do offer flat rates bookkeeping packages. They're quite reasonable. So if you don't want to invest the time, you don't want to have the frustration doing your books, then by all means, you can always contact us to help you. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye-bye.